I invite you to think back for a moment to the nativity stories that we read at Christmas, to the accounts of Matthew and Luke where we discover wise men and shepherds. And it's interesting to note that those who were the focus of these accounts, the regal, the magi from the east, as well as the local lowly shepherds, all had to actively seek out the Christ child. Made aware of his birth by angels and the heavenly host, or by a star in the night sky, they had to travel, they had to search, they had to look before they found the Son of God. In the resurrection accounts that we know so well, and that we'll be sharing together over the next 5 Sundays of Easter, the opposite is true. The risen Christ, rather than being sought and searched for, is the one who does the looking and the finding. It is the risen Christ who suddenly appears to Mary, to those in the locked room, to the 2 walking on the road to Emmaus, and to those who've gone fishing as he stands on the beach getting breakfast ready. The risen one came to them. He came to them in their need, unexpectedly and surprisingly, and transforming them as he did so. They weren't seeking him, he was seeking them. The same is true for us today. He comes finding and seeking us in unexpected and surprising ways when we least expect it. On Friday the 26th of April 1985, I faced my local preachers' meeting for my final examination and final interview. I know it was there not because I remembered the date, but because it's written in the front of a book I was given by the Reverend Rob Jones, who conducted my final interview. This is the book, The True Wilderness by Harry Williams. I really enjoyed reading that, and on the back of True Wilderness I bought True Resurrection, also by Harry Williams. Chapter 1 of this book begins thus. For Christians, Easter is the supreme festival. The churches are decorated with spring flowers, the bells ring, and hymns of triumphant gladness are the order of the day. And there is no hesitation in proclaiming what is being celebrated. Christ is risen. It is a proclamation about humanity, about the world. All that separates and injures and destroys has been overcome by what unites and heals and creates. Death has been swallowed up by life. From that starting point, he goes on to say that if we only see resurrection in the past or in the promise of what is to come, then we miss out on the resurrection of the present. And so his book is an exploration of that theme, for it is in the experiencing of resurrection in the present that we can be certain of the resurrection that is to come. Whilst we might rightly proclaim this morning the message of death overcome and of life renewed, of light replacing darkness and of hope replacing despair, the hallmarks of resurrection writ large with a capital R, we also give thanks for the ways in which we can continually experience resurrection with a little r, for the signs are all around us. One of the things that Helen Cameron, the chair of our Methodist district, does at Christmas and Easter is that she sends a letter to all the ministers, often sharing a poem in the midst of her message. The poem she used for this Easter continues the theme of suddenly being surprised by a moment of grace and revelation, signs of resurrection. The poem is called Egrets by Mary Oliver. Where the path closed down and over, through the scumbled leaves, fallen branches, through the knotted catbrier, I kept going. Finally, I could not save my arms from thorns. Soon the mosquitoes smelled me hot and wounded and came wheeling and whining. And that's how I came to the edge of the pond, black and empty, except for a spindle of bleach reeds at the far shore, which, as I looked, wrinkled suddenly into 3 egrets, a shower of white fire. Even half asleep, they had such faith in the world that had made them, tilting through the water, unruffled, sure by the laws of their faith, not logic, they opened their wings softly and stepped over every dark thing. Upon reaching the black and empty pond, the poet believes that all her efforts have come to nothing. Here there seems to be nothing but bleached reeds, but as so often occurs with Oliver, she is suddenly presented with a moment of grace and revelation. Resurrection is not just about what happened in the past or that which is to come. It is also about the present. For in the now, the one who is risen comes to find and seek us. He does so in unexpected and surprising ways, and when we least expect it. He sought them, even as he seeks us. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Alleluia.